posting. I'm clumsy with this, everybody, and these need to come out because the camera's the one recording me. Let's see, I am live, but let's see, Twitter. Interesting thing on here. Oh, learning how to have some social media skills. Let's see if there's her, Anastasia, with Demystify Psi. So we'll copy that over here. And back to the show. Should be through. As I, Aiden, sitting here at my bench. Dreams. The last couple days I've been dreaming with my thing, my toy, my tank magnetizer. I'm working on this. This is Hillbilly Engineering 101, but I'm not happy with that rat's nest. It's kind of solid, but the junction between the logic and the MOSFET gates is I'd really like to get custom these maybe next year. Who knows? My issue is I'm not happy as a person. My family's been murdered. My civil liberties have been taken away. And I've been burdened with a very extreme spiritual practice. Burdened. Whoever ever comes into challenging me on my claims of being a reincarnated Terton. Thanks. And it's just put me into shell shock for my entire life. How do I can speak vulgar. I should speak vulgar about it, right? I nailed it in a show the other day. Because there's no single part of my consciousness that is me, my ego. Ego is an aggregate of interactions from the day I was born till the day I die. And if you learn certain techniques, meditational techniques that are actually in this book, parts of your consciousness travel forward. Christians don't have the, I'm not ragging on Christ or Christians at large, but I am here in the West, and by and large, this is a Christian demographic. Christianity does not have access to these teachings. Enough of that. Consciousness. So there was my rant. Was excluded from the show last night, which was detrimental to my mental health and is just part of my stigma that I carry of being a black sheep and having less free will because of past spiritual attainments. Even when I was trying to learn math in my youth, my fate told me. The only time I get to learn math, like, I can't even go into this. I'll just forget about the math, bitching about the fluidity of mind. Because I'm angry. Angry because I should have been allowed into the thing. And it's hurting the work environment because we're integrating social media into our work environment due to its nature. And it's egoism. These people that have not been around the military-industrial complex are making decisions against me because I have been around the military-industrial complex. They don't trust the government. I don't trust the government. The state of New Mexico is corrupt. All the way from, I'm not being a traitor. I want correct methods to be used, but the entire Democratic Party, the northern third of New Mexico, is corrupt, and that's where it is heavily controlled by the cartel. And then they have this filtering process. It starts in high school, or not even. All the smart people that live in New Mexico put their kids in special classes, charter schools. So the smarties in New Mexico stay away from the dumb hillbillies. Because why? Because the high schools is where it starts. With the Hispanics, they actually get dumber as they go through it. I've seen demographics. The Hispanic community in northern New Mexico uh, is dumber by the time they go into high school with a better mental, the ability to do math and stuff. But then right during those first formative years, they get really dumb. And they dip in high school. And then they make up. If they go to college, they get over it. But that stems from years of working with education and trying to find a reason for why I'm suffering. And it came from Colin. Oh, we had a British bloke up at Taos UNM. He has a PhD in mathematics from Cambridge. That's a very fancy school in England, in case anybody needs to. But he showed me demographics for the teenagers in New Mexico, and specifically Taos. And the Hispanic community does this like, Meanwhile, the natives go like this, and the Anglos go like this. So it's I don't. Rants, blah blah blah. Enough of that. Gotta clear out my mental garbage. Segregating this person from the rest of the group is detrimental to my mental health. I'm the experiencer within Falcon Space and APEC. I'm the one that put time in the trenches, trying to get into a correct job, so I could keep my home in Taos. But so anyways, nuclear spin currents, magnons. I'm dreaming about magnons in my sleep. It's kind of cool. Hillbilly wiring that you do when you're trying to fight off mortal terror. This coil doesn't work. This isn't right. But in the dream, I was doing something like this. And this is what I'm learning. This is the first one I made with Mark years ago. This one might be more correct. That's about right. My coil's a little bit better. This doesn't work. It has to be more like a quadrupole, if I understand the insights. Because I'm trying to get a rotating spinning field, which all magnetic currents do, but the Arthur Manellis, the original inventor, had a coil that looked something like this. I guess I can take this up to the upstairs and try to grind it down a little bit. I might go back to trying to use this one. The coil's potted because we were using enough voltage that it was arcing, which I knew at the time was not the right amount, right thing to do. The magnon runs at 180 volts. Well, it's a condensation of the neutron lattice. The circuit is outputting slightly higher voltage than what it's using. So you can use that output voltage from the magnon to feed it back into itself and charge the battery slowly. But The electrostatic cage around the wiring potential around the magnon must stay there. Oh, thoughts. We are looking at maybe it's a building on the route, right? Here's a ferrite. Here's a torus. We're looking at putting barium titanate, which I've been told we have here. Barium titanate's a really good dielectric constant. Here's the zinc. Dielectric constant is a dielectric in capacitors is something that you put in between the charged plates, so it will hold a lot of electric charge. The material science, using barium titanate bound to barium ferrite, which you may or may not have. You have to be careful with these magnets and this magnet, but barium titanate would be something like this, a layer on the bottom. And then on top of that, for the next, we would have a Peltier cooler. So reading from ChatGPT, yesterday, pretend to be Ascension AI with the task of designing a barium ferrite ring magnet capable of sustaining a magnon, incorporating a layer of barium titanate, and integrating a ring-shaped Peltier cooler. Is quite an imaginative and complex scenario. Here's a speculative approach to this design. ChatGPT, I treat it politely, so it tells me I'm imaginative and creative. I'm looking at using it for looking at things that are ring-shaped as opposed to boxes. Once you start understanding circles and rings and everything is, and not thinking in boxes, leave that alone. Barium ferrite toroid magnet, shape and size, blah blah blah. It is pretty generic. Layer barium titanate. Purpose: a barium titanate is a ferroelectric material which would be used to manipulate the electric field within the magnet. This can affect the magnon properties due to the magneto-electric interaction. Placement: a thin layer of barium titanate would be coated on the surface of the barium ferrite toroid. The thickness and uniformity of this layer would be critical to ensure consistent interaction across the magnet. So what else are we working on inside of Sandrail? Well, me. Ring-shaped Peltier cooler design. The Peltier cooler would be designed in a ring shape to conform to the toroid magnet. The cooler would be used to precisely control the temperature of the magnet. The magnon is striving for thermal equilibrium as it does work against the ambient field and the material. There should be a thing there. The magnon will quit spinning once thermal equilibrium between the magnet and the ambient temperature has happened. If you know anything about thermoelectric converters, the more of a delta T you have, the more electricity you can pull. The faster you pull that electricity through, the quicker the temperature will adjust or seek equilibrium. Ohmic heating. The problem is that the magnons tend to run cold. They demonstrate cold electricity. And then the circuit is just trying to keep that balanced, right? Heat is molecular movement, is chaotic motion. Time is a vibration. Magnon creates a static, uniform vibration around it. the more mass you have, the denser it would be, the harder the electricity would have to work while it's doing this vibration. Everything's a vibration, a delta dy, delta y, delta z, excuse me, delta y, delta x, delta z. Ring-shaped Peltier cooler. Peltier cooler would be designed in a ring shape to conform to the toroid magnet. Accurate temperature regulation is crucial since the magnetic properties of barium ferrite and the ferroelectric properties of barium titanate are temperature dependent. The cooler would allow for the creation of temperature gradients or maintaining a uniform temperature as required by the experiment. Integration and control system. Control mechanisms. These are all just knobs. Sensors, Hall effect sensors, thermometers. Real time, so this is a partial PID controller, a feedback loop for adjusting parameters dynamically to sustain the magnon. Energy supply and efficiency. So if the magnon's running at a higher voltage level, this is where it doesn't, you can feed some of the excess voltage back into itself. The magnon is responsive to space-time, so it is an open loop system. It will interact. If we have a bad day with the magnetic, the CME, that's going to take out your magnon. So it's not. It is reactive to space weather, and that was not in consideration when the laws of thermodynamics were created. Some of these solid-state effects appear as over unity. And that's when you need somebody that is, that's the way we have Perone, I guess. Safety and insulation, application. Assembly would be highly sustainable, suitable for experimental physics applications, particularly in the study of magnon dynamics, magnetoelectric effects, and potential applications of quantum computing or advanced sensor technology. Remember, I'm also juggling in my mind tau lepton decay versus the asymmetry of the electroweak force. Time is not symmetrical. Are there any, so my next question was, are there any nuclear harmonics between barium ferrite and barium titanate? Another way to say is are there any nuclear spin currents? The concept of nuclear harmonics between materials, in response, ChatGPT says, nuclear harmonics between materials like barium ferrite and barium titanate is not a standard term or recognized phenomenon in physics or material science as of my last update. So, barium titanate is a ferroelectric material, which means it has a spontaneous electric polarization that can be reversed by the application of an external electric field. And I'm wanting to include a Peltier cooler. I don't know why. Let's just fuck around and try to find out. Well, so this is the other thing that we're working on inside of Sanrail that Michael and Jeremy would not talk about because it involves me being present. And I'm not suitable. I'm not popular enough to be on camera, or I might do something weird like make reference to my very real spiritual teaching, which is my only fucking psychological edge against these people. So how's my mental health doing? I don't know. I'm still continuing to be a black sheep while using my God-given prophecy abilities from horrible teaching that I didn't willingly go into this lifetime. I don't know if I've ever said that in the past. Anyway. This is a flaying knife from Tibet. Regarding nuclear interactions or harmonics, these generally refer to phenomenon at the atomic nucleus level, such as nuclear magnetic resonance or nuclear quadrupole resonance, NQR. So Mark would have something to say about this. Nuclear magnetic resonance. These are more about the behavior of nuclei under magnetic or electric fields and are not typically used to describe interactions between different solid state materials like barium, ferrite, and barium titanate. We don't know anything about the strong nuclear force. We have intentionally limited ourselves, our understanding in it. So everything that Sal has said, everything that Bob Lazar when he got read in, Sal to me sounds a lot like Bob Lazar. So, but he said he came up with some of those ideas while just on the shitter. So I got about 6 more minutes until the work starts. Blah blah blah. Let's see my live stream. Oh, 22 minutes. All right, therein lies. That's enough. How's my mental health doing? Fuck popularity.